Yo, what is up guys, Gray here, and today we have got our week 7 battle of the BBR. We're going up against Olivia and her New Orleans Saint Snow. She took over from Leo, aka 6-foot Hacks, earlier in the season, and completely changed the entire team. Like, I think that's the second time actually this team has been taken over and completely changed. The only thing that I think that's remained is Melmetal. So yeah, we face Melmetal this week. Jesus. Yeah, so it's going to be an easy battle. We're currently 3-3 with a -7 differential, which is just atrocious. It's just awful. But then again, our team, I think, is just as bad as our differential. I've come to the terms that, you know, this team, it was pretty good in the start. I think we had good synergy, we had good typings, all that sort of stuff. Now it's just awful. After the trades I made, it's so hard to build with, because it's like having 8 mons, and none of them actually, like, none synergize at all, apart from like Keldeo and Weavile. It's a nightmare to build with, this team. But it is what it is. We're going to try and make the most of this season. We can actually still make playoffs somehow. I know we're only halfway through the season, but I think we're like on 3-3 in the playoffs at the moment is like 4-2. So we're actually not far off at all getting into the playoffs. We just need to do really well in the second half of the season. And it's not going to be easy, because Liv has got a terrifying team. And Mid, who we faced the week after, has got an equally scary team. So just to preface this video, and I guess the next week's one as well, I'll just mention it in the next week's video before we start. This is going to be post-com. So when I did these battles, I actually battled Liv and Mid like just after each other. So I faced Liv at 1 and Mid, I think, at the end, in the end, about half 2. And that is AM, by the way, for me. And so it was super late, and my girlfriend was sleeping in the room next door, and she had work fairly early in the morning, so I didn't want to wake her up, because that's just not fair to her. So instead of recording live, I decided I was just going to do post-com. I can actually speed up the battles a little bit potentially as well, and just go through my thought process as I'm making the turns. And you're also going to see how often my Joy-Cons apparently freak out nowadays, which is just amazing. I'll probably do it during this team builder at some point. But if you are enjoying the season, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the rest of the season. We're also uploading Evil, uploading PTL, and BBR was the other one. So we're uploading 4 leagues at the moment. This is the only Wi-Fi league that we're doing at the moment. We are doing APA Little Cup, but I missed like the first 3 weeks of recording, so that's not getting uploaded, unfortunately. But without further ado, let's get into the teams. So first up, Liv's team is Melmetal, Terrakion, Milotic, Selby, Obstagoon, Palisand, Rotom Fan, Comfey, Shelmet, and Trapinch. A few familiar faces there. Palisand and Comfey we had earlier in the season, and I regret massively dropping them because they were so good for my team. But alas, we did, and now we have to face them. So Comfey has a fantastic matchup against my team. Offensively, it deals with Keldeo, it deals with Weavile, it deals with Goodra. If it's got, like, I think it has Psychic, so it can deal with Vileplume. It's just a nightmare. Like, the only upside we have is that if it has Draining Kiss and we bring in DD, then it can't use Draining Kiss because it's priority. And so DD would be something of a switch into it. But it's still not going to be easy. Melmetal is a big problem for my team. It's really tough for me to break through. I'm going to have to rely on things like Skarmory, on like Keldeo with its Fighting Stab. That's realistically all I've got to actually break through Melmetal. Other than that, it's just chip damage and trying to wear it away to the point in which Weavile, which I believe is my win con really this week, can come in and low kick it. Terrakion, if it's Scarfed, big problem for my team. If it's Rock Polish, it's also a big problem for my team because I just really struggle to deal with it. Again, like, all of the weight at the moment is going on to Skarmory. Skarmory has to check Melmetal, has to check Terrakion, probably has to check Comfey as well. So, there's just so many things that it has to deal with. Milotic, against my team defensively, just phenomenal. My Electric type being Luxray and my Grass type being Vileplume. Vileplume, I doubt, can even 2-hit KO it if it's got some special defense investment. And Luxray is very prone to getting worn down, so yeah, I'm not sure how good Luxray is going to be in this matchup, and so Milotic is looking really strong. Celebi is really good against my Keldeo. Granted, it gets Air Slash, but at the same time, it's still able to switch in quite comfortably and scare me out with either of its dual stabs. It also deals pretty well in the Psychic terrain should I bring it with Indeedee. It will be able to knock out my Viral Plume. It does really well against my Luxray should it not be like a specially defensive build. So it can actually come in and kind of check that a little bit. So yeah, Celebi is probably going to be coming along. Obstagoon and Palisand are actually not that big of a problem for my team. Obstagoon can be, but I think I have good ways of being able to kind of deal with it. Bombi outspeeds it, Keldeo outspeeds it, Weavile outspeeds it, all gets coverage to be able to knock it out in one shot. So I don't think Obstagoon is the biggest problem. And if it's Scarf, then it's locked into one move, and Skarmory can actually just deal with it just fine. Palisand doesn't really deal well with my top two Mons. Can't really break through Skarmory at all, can't break through Vileplume, so I don't expect that to be coming. Rotom Fan beats my entire team outside of Goodra and Luxray, so yeah, Rotom Fan is a big problem, and then Shelmet and Trapinch, they're just kind of vibing at the bottom there. So yeah, 6 I'm expecting to see Melmetal, Terrakion, Milotic, Celebi, Rotom Fan, and Comfey. Like, that genuinely seems like the most likely. Potentially we see Obstagoon. If it's there, then we can expect it to be Scarfed, I think. And if we see Palisand, there's a strong chance that's Coldberry. But at the same time, it just loses to Keldeo. It loses to the Ice-type stab. So I don't think Palisand has the matchup at all. But getting into our team, first up we've got our Keldeo with Scald, Flip Turn, Aura Sphere, and Air Slash. We are a bold nature. Okay, yeah, I remember this Keldeo now. It's a very physically defensive one with choice specs. So we actually live a Thunder Punch from choice banded Melmetal and can OHKO in return with Aura Sphere. It's not the ideal switch in by any means, but if I have to switch in and scare it out, then so be it. I don't know what kind of set the Melmetal is going to be running, but we can click Scald and potentially get a burn, click Aura Sphere, and it will be able to potentially one-shot Melmetal, it will one-shot the Terrakion. Obviously, it's going to one-shot the Obstagoon because that does not want to take the hit. Scald is really nice. Like, Terrakion doesn't switch in on any of our moves. Like, it literally cannot stay in because... Thank you. Because Scald and Aura Sphere are going to be able to knock it out. Air Slash does a big chunk to it as well. Celebi is the most likely switch in. Like, both Celebi and Milotic kind of switch in okay, but we can wear them down with Specs Air Slash and Specs Aura Sphere for Milotic. We should be able to just kind of wear away at them a little bit. Doesn't deal particularly well with the Rotom Fan or the Comfey, so you know that's a problem. We do take an Air Slash or a Volt Switch from Rotom Fan just fine. I think we take a Thunderbolt as well. That's a Clink. So you see what I mean about my Joy-Cons just like randomly deciding to move up and down. Yeah, so Keldeo is just really nice for kind of trying to break through his team and put things in range of Weavile, because I think Weavile is kind of my win con, like I said earlier. So yeah, getting things in range of Weavile is really all I have to do. Next up, we have got our Vileplume with Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Leech Seed, and Strength Sap. Dual Stab's really nice in this matchup. Hits Terrakion, hits Milotic, it hits Celebi, hits Palisand, and it hits Comfey, all for super effective damage. Realistically, this is our best way of dealing with Comfey, because we are immune to Leech Seed, we resist the Draining Kiss. It does get access to, I believe, Psychic and Stored Power. I'm not sure about Psychic, but definitely Stored Power. So it could definitely still hit us and be a bit of a problem. So Skarmory is like a secondary check to it, but we don't particularly have anything on Skarmory to be able to deal with it very well. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, but Giga Drain, Sludge Bombs, Leech Seed, Strength Stab pretty much just deals with his entire team. The only thing that our dual stabs don't hit is the Melmetal. We can Leech Seed that, we can Strength Sap it. After a Strength Sap, it will never OHKO us. Even Choice Band Double Iron Bash does not OHKO us, so we can actually live against it and potentially get the Effect Spore as well. We can put it to sleep. That would be just amazing. But if we don't, we don't. It's also very good against the Terrakion. It's good against the Obstagoon, should he bring it. It's reasonably good against the Obstagoon, should he bring it. And obviously good against things like Palisand, good against Milotic. And it means that Celebi can't switch into it as well. So really, really strong matchup for Vileplume this week. Next up, we have got our Weavile, and we are Adamant, Life Orb with Knockoff, Ice Shard, Triple Axle, and Low Kick. Like I said, Weavile just goes in this week. Running Adamant which I believe outspeeds Terrakion by 1 point. So there's nothing on his team that naturally outspeeds us. Comfey will outspeed us with Draining Kiss because it's priority. Any Choice Scarfers are obviously going to outspeed us as well. Like the Rotom Fan seems like a really obvious Choice Scarf option because it can just keep... it can just keep clicking Volt Switch and get free momentum against my team. Apparently we're going to move this way this time. Like, honestly, I don't know what's happened with these Joy-Cons, but they're done. And it's thrown me off my train of thought. So where were we with Weavile? It takes out the Melmetal from 50%, unless it's holding a Truffle Berry. It takes out the Terrakion from full, unless it's running Truffle Berry. My Lotic doesn't want to particularly take a knockoff. Losing its leftovers can be a problem, especially if I can Toxic it. If it's Flame Orb and we catch it on the switch in, then it loses that Flame Orb. Celebi doesn't want to take a knockoff unless it is Coldberry, but it also doesn't want to take a Triple Axle. So I don't expect it to be running any berry at all, because I don't think it, like, it's a 50-50 effectively as to whether or not I Oko it. I think I always click Triple Axle against it. Obstagoon dies to a low kick, Palossand dies to a Triple Axle and doesn't take knockoff particularly well. Rotom Fan, if we get to about 50%, will die to an Ice Shard. And Comfey doesn't want to take a Triple Axle, though it will outspeed me unless he switches it. Unless she switches it in. Sorry, that's a slip on my part. Other than that, I don't even know what the calcs are against Shelmet. And Trapinch, I know, will not take a Triple Axle at all. I mean, Shelmet could come for, like, Toxic Spikes, I guess, against my team. It's like hazards, but I think that's a waste of a Mon against my team. So yeah, Weavile just really does a ton against this team, and as long as we get things in the right position for it to sweep, then we should be actually able to pull out a win in this game. Next up, we've got our Luxray, specially defensive. This is here to deal with the, I guess, a switch into Milotic, it's a switch into Celebi, and it's a switch into Rotom Fan, most importantly. With Toxic, Protect, Wild Charge, and Crunch. We do a good chunk with Crunch if it's a more defensive Celebi. A max HP Celebi takes like 35% from a Crunch. And say we got it Toxic on the switch in, then a couple of Crunches will be able to take out the Celebi. Like, it's something that it won't be able to keep staying in on. So that's really nice. We can keep clicking Protect as well, just to keep getting our health back. Wild Charge, if we get burned by a Scald on the switch in, then Wild Charge is doing so much to that Milotic. I think it might even Oko if it's not physically defensive. It does a massive chunk to everything on her team after it gets burned. So I'm actually hoping that the Skull burns me if we can switch into it, because it would mean that Celebi gets 2-hit KO'd, and like everything on the team actually gets 2-hit KO'd, I think, outside of Melmetal. Melmetal can switch in. We're not ready for you yet. And yeah, that's Luxray. Basically, it's my best switch into Rotom Fan. Of course, it can just keep getting momentum, and it can switch it out to like Melmetal. But I don't think Palossand's coming this week, so actually our Luxray is looking pretty decent in the matchup. Next up, as you just saw, we have Phil the Skarmory with Body Press, Iron Defense, Toxic, and Roost. This is my best way of dealing with Melmetal. It actually does a really good job of dealing with this team in general. Outside of Rotom Fan, it can literally 1v1 everything else on the team, barring getting burned by Scald, because Iron Defense plus Toxic hits everything on her team and can slowly kind of wear away at it. Really? Can we just not? Body Press, Iron Defense, so that takes out Melmetal, I believe, after one Iron Defense is doing about 50%. Terrakion doesn't live Body Press at all. Milotic, unless I get burned, won't be able to take too many Body Presses when Toxic. Celebi is in the same boat, but also can't really hit me for much in return. And things like Obstagoon just get Oko by Body Press. Palossand will get Toxic, and I can just Iron Defense up on it and keep roosting. There's really not a lot Palossand can do unless it catches me with a Scorching Sands or Earth Power on the turn that I click Roost. So there's a bit of mind games there. Rotom Fan is the one thing that's really stopping this set. Comfey, I guess, could be annoying because we don't hit super effective damage, but at the same time, like, Toxic plus Roost, like I can just stall it out. So Skarmory's looking really good at this matchup, just to be able to kind of chip things and put them in range of our Weavile. So that's really, really good for us. And last up, we've got our Ravombi with U-Turn, Bug Buzz, Moonblast, and Switcheroo, holding the choice specs. I believe we're Modest, and I were Timid. I think we had to go Timid to outspeed the Terrakion. If we went Modest, we speed tie with it. And there's a good chance that Terrakion is just running max speed because of Keldeo. So I didn't want to be outsped by the Terrakion. I want to guarantee the outspeed. U-Turn is really nice for Switch Initiative, especially because that Melmetal is almost definitely coming in when Ravombi comes in. Outside of that, maybe a Spadef Milotic, which means I can go into my Luxray. If Melmetal comes in, I go into Keldeo. Potentially Rotom comes in, but doesn't want to take a Moonblast particularly. Comfey also doesn't really want to take a Moonblast particularly. Bug Buzz hits the Celebi. Honestly, I could have run something else, but I didn't see anything else on Ravombi's moveset that really kind of stuck out to me. Switcheroo is just there if the Melmetal is coming in and we know it's coming in. To lock it, choice lock it into choice specs would be just amazing. It would be really, really nice. But realistically, like I didn't have a great last mon on this team. I could have brought Goodra, but I felt like Goodra just never broke through anything. It just kind of like if there was Milotic had Toxic or Celebi had Toxic, it wasn't able to break through them. And albeit Ravombi can't do it either. Like it can obviously break through the Celebi, it can do a good chunk to Milotic. The only thing Ravombi has that Goodra doesn't, in this sense, is initiative. So I thought I keep spamming U-Turn whenever the Melmetal comes in, and we should be in a pretty good place. Terrakion brings rocks, that's a little bit annoying. Celebi brings rocks, then again that's a little annoying. But yeah, Ravombi's not really here to do tons of damage. It's just kind of here to keep momentum up on my team, and I feel it does a really good job of that. So that's the team. Like I said, we're 3-3 with a terrible differential, so we kind of do need to win this one. And it's looking quite good for Weavile if we can just get things into the right position. And hopefully the Joy-Cons will not play up during the battle, because that'd be just really, really annoying. And I will see you guys there in a sec. Okay, so here we are for the battle against Liv. I actually wasn't able to find a way in this program to speed up the playback, so we're going to watch it at normal time. And hopefully it's not going to drag too much. It's only a 34-minute battle, which is not atrocious, I guess, for trying to post-comment. So we're just going to get straight into it. And we're going to see that Liv brought the 6 that we were kind of expecting. Celebi, Milotic, Melmetal, the Comfey, Rotom, and the Terrakion. So looking at this matchup, I think I'm going to lead off with my Keldeo. I actually don't remember. I haven't watched this one back because I just don't have the time. I'm trying to record this before work, and work has been absolutely kicking my ass this week. So this is like the only time I have to actually record. I may lead off with Ravombi actually, and just yeah, I'm going to lead off with Ravombi and get as much initiative as I can. If they lead off with Terrakion, then it's not the end of the world. If they lead off with things like Celebi, try and get rocks, then this is my best lead. Melmetal is like the one thing that I don't really want to see, but at the same time I can switch into my Skarmory and just kind of scout. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to lead off with Ravombi, and I guess we could kind of like fake the webs a little bit. We don't actually have webs this week, but potentially we could try and bluff that, as we get a nice black screen as always with land timer. Good luck, have fun to Liv. And actually she's gonna lead off with Rotom, which is like a very understandable lead. Kind of destroys my team a little bit. And I think this is at the point where I'm like, you know what, I don't have an air slash switch in particularly. So I think I look at my team and I'm like, well, I've got to go into Luxray. It's my only switch into this. And we're going to just see how much damage it wants to do. I'm expecting it to be Scarfed, just the way that she's led off of it. And I'm looking at the team, I'm like, well, to be honest, Luxray only really has to deal with this and Milotic. I think it can deal with the Celebi okay, but at the same time, like I just kind of want to keep this Luxray as healthy as I can. And I believe, yeah, she goes for the air slash here and does a very good chunk. This actually shows to be modest damage. And since it's choice scarfed, I don't believe that. I think I go for the crunch here, predicting the Celebi to come in, because I'm contemplating the Toxic. I'm thinking maybe I can Toxic if like the Comfey wants to come in or something. But I'd say the Crunch was my best kind of all-round play, because the Celebi seemed like the most likely switch in. I hope I click Crunch here, I do. So yeah, Crunch is like my best play because it hits the Rotom for good damage, actually puts it in range, potentially, of the Ice Shard from Weavile. And getting any damage off on this Celebi is super nice for me, as I'm just going to go for a Crunch, and we don't get a defense drop, unfortunately. We see that it's leftovers, so it's not going to be able to take anything at all from our Weavile, and should actually from this range be 2-hit KO'd by a Air Slash from our Specs Keldeo. So here I should be trying to preserve my Luxray's health and switching out, but I believe that I stay in. I think I stay in here. I may switch out into... do I switch out into Ribombee here? I think I do, actually. I should have watched this back, but obviously I didn't have the time. So we're almost kind of watching this back through together. Like, this is my first time actually watching this back, as I think I'm going to go to Ribombee here. Yeah, I go into Ribombee. I think my thought process here is that she's going to set up the rocks, most likely. And Ribombee is kind of my most expendable mon. It also scares out the Celebi, which is always really nice for me. And I can start getting some momentum, as she just throws up the rocks as to be expected. And I believe I'm going to just U-turn, because I don't expect this Celebi to ever want to stay in. I'm expecting the Melmetal probably to come in, potentially like the Milotic as well. And if it's Milotic, I can go back into the Luxray, and we kind of go back into this cycle. So I'm just going to click U-turn. I have no reason not to. I actually think that maybe I can knock out the Celebi from this range. I don't think it's possible. I think with a Timid Nature it probably does like 40-50%, but it's still extremely good damage, and I don't think Liv is going to want to take that. So we see the switch into the Melmetal, as I believe I go Vileplume on this turn. I think I go Vileplume and just Strength Sap potentially. Going into Skarmory would be my play here, because there's less on Liv's team that really wants to take on the Skarmory. But at the same time, I'm a little bit worried that the Rotom will come in. But the Rotom comes in no matter what I go into, effectively. Actually, I might go into... Yeah, I go into Keldeo. I try to put the offensive pressure on here. And I believe I just go for a flip turn, expecting the Celebi to come back out. And every time the Celebi comes, like, because of the rocks, because I'm not Boots on my Ribombee, which really sucks. If I was Boots, then I'd be able to trying to keep this like initiative and being able to keep switching. But unfortunately, I'm not. I'm choice Specs, so I'm going to be taking rocks damage, and it kind of makes me not want to go into Ribombee every time that I get the momentum. And it sucks a little bit, because she can just keep switching between the Celebi and the Melmetal, and I'm just taking damage. And you're going to see this flip turn just bounces off of Celebi. Of course it does. It's a Celebi. So instead of going back into my Ribombee here, I believe I go into my Luxray, because I don't want that Melmetal to get a free switch in. I may go out to my Skarmory, but I think I go into Luxray from memory. I think I'm contemplating going into Skarmory. I actually do go to Skarmory. Okay. I don't have anything on this set load to deal with Celebi, so I'm not entirely sure why I went into this. Maybe I was hoping to Toxic stall it or something, but maybe I'm just trying to get the Rotom in to be able to Toxic it. I think that's what I go for here. I just go for the Toxic, expecting maybe the Rotom to come in, or for this to stay, or even going out into the Milotic. Any of those plays, like, I don't expect the Melmetal to want to switch it in, but it's always a possibility that Melmetal can switch in, and expect the Brave Bird here. But we're actually going to see the Milotic come in, and we are going to get a Toxic off on this, which is fantastic for my Weavile. It's like wearing away at this thing even is just all I need for Weavile to be able to knock off and kill it later. Unfortunately, a knockoff from like max HP is absolutely not going to be enough damage, so we need it to take a few turns of Toxic damage. Honestly, I could stay in here, but I think my play is always going to Vileplume, try and stop certain things from coming in. I go into my Luxray, hoping to get the Scald Burn actually on my Luxray to be able to do more damage with the guts. because I'm aware at this point that I don't think I can really stall out for too long with my Luxray against the Rotom, because it's probably going to be clicking Volt Switch a lot of the time, and now I know it's modest, it's actually going to do a good chunk of damage. And we obviously see the leftovers here on the Milotic, which means that this Toxic is very, very slowly going to wear away at it. It's not going to be a quick process of putting it in range of my Weavile, but at this point with its Toxic, I can actually probably 2-hit KO with an Aura Sphere, which is kind of nice, as I'm just going to go for a Wild Charge, I believe here. There's no switch in that Liv can make that will really take this particularly well outside of the Celebi. But then Celebi has to take Wild Charge into Crunch, and it's doing a fairly good chunk of damage. And I can always switch back out into my Skarmory on this and keep momentum, as that Wild Charge actually does a good chunk of damage, just puts it under half, and I'm expecting a recover here, I believe. So I think my play should have been to just click Crunch again. I hope I click Crunch here. Maybe I click Toxic, but I'm definitely expecting the recover. So clicking Crunch gives me a good amount of damage. I think I'm contemplating going out into my Skarmory, because I have a good feeling that it's going to be Dual Stab, Stealth Rock, Recover, so it can't really do anything to me. But I would decide instead that because I'm expecting to recover, I can get the health pack, and I want to say that was a misclick. I don't believe by any means that Liv wanted to click Stealth Rock there. I think that she probably wanted to click Recover and just misclicked. So because of that, I end up just clicking the Wild Charge here, because like if that's me and I accidentally misclick the Stealth Rock, like I don't know, it's good sportsmanship, I guess. Like I'm here like, okay, well, let's get ourselves back in that same position we were in, and we kind of just go from there. So I'm going to click the Wild Charge, and we are literally in the exact same position. I think that is the exact same amount of HP that we left it at. So yeah, we're back at this point, and I think I'm going to click, I either click Toxic or I click Crunch here. I don't really remember. I want to say I click Toxic. Yeah, I click Toxic, and I think the Melmetal comes in, if I remember rightly. You see for that, or no, she goes for the Giga Drain, which does a good chunk. I shouldn't really be taking this damage. This damage is like completely unnecessary to be taking, and because I clicked Toxic, I'm not really doing a whole lot in return, because obviously Celebi has Natural Cure, so as soon as that switches out, the Toxic is negated. So that was just a bad play. I think I played quite badly with this Luxray around the Celebi, and honestly I should just keep clicking Crunch after the Stealth Rock. Yeah, I was a good sport instead of just claiming, like, putting on the pressure and keeping this Celebi low, because if this Celebi can't heal up, then it's a really good position for me. I'm just going to click the Protect, expecting potentially another Giga Drain, or a Psychic, because I'm actually in range of Psychic, and that does come out, and we're going to put this Celebi slowly in range of an Air Slash from our Keldeo, which is kind of nice. But had I clicked Crunch on that Giga Drain turn, then this thing would be low, and it would have to constantly try and click Recover, and eventually we probably would have got a defense drop. We would have been able to recover more health, because we're putting the offensive pressure on. But instead, because I went for the Toxic, we're now in a position where we're almost playing really defensively, and we're losing health because of it. And then we go out into our Skarmory. I realise at this point, like, there's absolutely nothing at all that Celebi can do to hit me with this set, especially. So I'm just going to go out into my Skarmory. This is going to do 0 damage. But we are slowly wearing away at the Celebi, albeit it's still at half. I think at this point we can actually just knock it out with a Air Slash from Keldeo. So as long as we make that read, then we're in a good place. By all means, Liv can switch out here, as I believe I go for a Toxic, predicting the Rotom to come in, because I'm here contemplating, do I want the Body Press damage or do I want the Toxic damage? Actually, I go for a Roost to get myself back up at full. I think it's a bit of a misplay if I clicked the Toxic, predicting the Rotom to come in. Would be in a better position, but at the same time, being at full health with our Skarmory is also really good. and I think I need a full health to be able to switch into the Melmetal. So that's my thought process behind that. But I think clicking Toxic there may have given me more momentum. But then again, it does kind of make me lose against the Melmetal. And if I just click Crunch on a couple of turns with our Luxray, then we'll be in a better position for dealing with this Rotom. We've actually taken so much damage that I think 2 Air Slashes has a role to kill us, but also just like Rocks plus the Volt Switch that's probably coming in here is going to be enough to like really kind of make this Luxray completely useless for our team. And it's very unfortunate, but that's kind of been Luxray this season. It's not like I felt like I would need to run it defensively because of my absolute lack of any kind of electric check. So I felt like I've always had to run it defensively, and because of that, it's never really put on too much offensive pressure, which just kind of sucked, but it is what it is. And here I could switch out and keep my Luxray for a sack later on, because I know that my Skarmory is a fairly safe switch in, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out into my Skarmory here, because actually, do I just sack off? Do I just sack this off? I do just sack this off. Okay. In case that she wants to go for a recover, I went for the Crunch. I could have protected on that turn to scout if she wanted to go for Giga Drain or not, but that's probably a bad play. I could have kept this for a sack later on and been in a better place, but it is what it is. This gives me my Weavile in for free now, and unfortunately the Rocks plus Life Orb is going to be taking a toll, but at least we get a pretty free knockoff. And anytime Weavile comes in, it causes problems for Liv. So as you can see, the Joy-Cons decide to go over to the right and start looking at the moves. But because we know this is leftovers, there's nothing that's like, there's absolutely no move it wants to take that it's going to live. So I'm going to go for a knockoff here and knock off whatever wants to come in. If it's a Milotic, then great. We put that in range, and also the Toxic plus low leftovers is really going to start racking up on it. And that puts us in a great position for late game Weavile, but we do have to watch out for taking too much damage, because really we can only take one more lot of rocks before our ability to sweep is kind of negated because of Life Orb damage. So yeah, we've got to be careful. This is like really the only other switch in that I can have. That's a big chunk to Milotic, and now we need to get our Weavile out. Like, we may be able to knock it out from that range, but I think it's kind of unlikely. I don't think we can quite knock it out from there. So I think I'm going to switch out into my Vileplume, because it's a fairly safe switch if it wants to go for the Scald, or if it wants to go for a Toxic, or even a Recover. It puts me in a good position because I can just Giga Drain. As you can see, our timer is far lower than Liv's, far lower at this point. But I'm adamant that I'm not going to lose to timer. So I think I start making moves quicker at some point because of it. We're getting out to our Vileplume, and realistically, unless it's got Ice Beam, it's not doing a whole lot to me. It just goes for the Scald. If we don't get burned, that'd be nice, because we do have the Black Sludge and we like the recovery. And I believe here I'm just going to go for I could go for a Leech Seed, or do I go for a Giga Drain? I think I go for a Leech Seed here. Or do I go for a Sludge Bomb? I might go for a Sludge Bomb, predicting the potential Celebi to come in. No, I just go for a Leech Seed. And I think she stays in here. Yeah, she does. So we're going to take a big chunk on our Vileplume at the expense of effectively a Leech Seed. I understand why she didn't keep this around, but I'm surprised she didn't go for a Recover there, just to try and like keep the health. And I believe after the Leech Seed, she's just going to go down to the Toxic, and we're actually going to get a good chunk of health back. We're not in a bad position, but at the same time, we're not in an optimal one as well, because Celebi gets to come back in again, and now it gets to click Psychic pretty much for free. There's nothing on my team that wants to switch into Psychic outside of Skarmory, so that's now putting even more pressure on Skarmory to be able to take a hit. As I don't expect the Melmetal to come in because of the Strength Sap. So it's almost definitely going to be the Celebi at this point that's coming in. It could be the Rotom as well. Actually, Rotom makes much more sense because it puts so much offensive pressure on my team. I literally do not have a switch into it now, as she actually brings in the Comfey, and this one confused me because I was like, well, why would you bring Comfey in on a Vileplume? But Sludge Bomb is going to do like a very good chunk to it. We're actually going to see that she has got the Calm Mind here, and that could be a bit of a problem. I think my Skarmory can still deal with it. Even at this point, I think Skarmory kind of deals with it just fine. If we can get the poison with this Sludge Bomb, that'd be amazing, but so far it's kind of been a very hacks-free game. There's not been any burns on the Scalds. There's not been any like Effect Spore. Actually, no, Effect Spore couldn't go off at this point, as Speed Beam and dumb. But Sludge Bomb is not going to do half to this, and that's a bit of a problem, but expecting potentially the stored power here, I'm going to go out into my Skarmory. It's kind of a middle ground play anyway, because I can Toxic this and slowly wear away at it. If it's got Aromatherapy, then I just keep spamming Toxic. I'm eventually going to win that 1v1, because Aromatherapy only has 8 PP, and Toxic has way more, so I'm always going to be able to kind of outlast this Comfey. And on the off chance I have Iron Head, I don't think that she's going to want to switch in, or want to stay in even, just in case. So yeah, I'm going to go out into my Skarmory here and just click the Toxic, because this thing could be a problem if I let it continue to set up. We're going to actually take like very little from that stored power, hopefully. And from memory, I don't take much at all. So I'll be able to take this just fine. And honestly, like, she needs to set up to like +4 or something like that to be able to 2-hit KO me. So I'm more or less just going to be free to click Toxic here. And the Rotom come in. If the Rotom comes in and it gets Toxic, that's a really good position for me, because over time, that Toxic damage is going to start wearing away at it. And we're actually going to see that the Melmetal comes in. And this one surprised me. Like, I thought maybe she just wanted to kind of get the banded Thunder Punch damage, or whether she was predicting the Toxic. But it was a good play. As the Joy-Cons decide that I want to run away from this, I don't want to run away. I actually can deal with this just fine. I'm going to click Iron Defense because I'm not in range of a Thunder Punch at +2. Unless this is a very speedy Melmetal, I don't think there's any way that it outspeeds me. And we're going to be able to get up to +2, which means that we're going to be able to take on this Melmetal just fine. As she reveals the sub, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of annoying, but, you know, is what it is. Apparently my Joy-Cons now want me to Dynamax. They really want me to Dynamax, jeez. And I think I go for a Roost on this turn, just because I want to be back up at full health. I could have Body Pressed. Honestly, I think Body Pressing would be my best play there, but just on the off chance that she went for a Thunder Punch and it did more than I was expecting. Like, if there was a crit Thunder Punch there, then I died. So I just wanted to avoid that, and we actually avoid the Thunder Wave. So this is a Paraflinch set. Sub, Thunder Wave, Double Iron Bash, and I don't know what the last move is, but I would assume maybe Roost. At this point, I don't see the leftovers, and I should have noticed that I didn't see the leftovers, and that it's probably either a Berry or it's Protective Pads to be able to not get Effect Spored and not be hit by Rocky Helmet. But now we're paralyzed, we're going to be slower, and we have to break through Paralysis, and we need to break through Flinch from the Double Iron Bash. At this point, though, I've got no reason not to just keep spamming Body Press. If the Rotom comes in, it actually puts it in. I Toxic, actually, predicting the Rotom to come in. She just goes for another sub. Had I clicked Double Iron, the Body Press there would have been much nicer for me, because I would have just broken that sub, and when it's not behind a sub, it's less of a problem. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just going to Body Press until, like, for as long as I can. I've got to click Body Press effectively, and hope that I don't just get flinched to death, because it's going to be the world's slowest death as well. That's a crit, and that did nothing to me. So it's going to be a very, very slow, painful death if I lose to this. We are going to get flinched on the first one. I'm now come to click Roost to be able to make sure that I'm healthy enough, because if I get flinched down too low, then at some point I'm just going to lose to this. So realistically, I want to break the sub so I can bring in Keldeo on the next turn and just scare it out. But the optimal situation is that I can just Body Press this thing to a point in which it will just drop, or she switches out into most likely the Celebi, I think, at this point. But then Celebi doesn't take the hit particularly well. Can't really do too much in return to me. So Rotom seems like the most obvious switch. We're going to see Double Iron Bash. Doesn't flinch me, I think, on this turn. I don't get paralyzed. So we're able to get a roost off, and that's great because now I can start clicking Body Press, and we're in a good position again. So at this point, I'm going to Body Press, like I said, and if the Rotom comes in at some point, then it's going to take a +2 Body Press, which is not going to appreciate at all. Like, it's really not appreciating it. And she's really going to rely on the Para Flinch to be able to take out my Skarmory here. Protective Pads, if we had somehow switcherooed earlier in the game and got rid of the Protective Pads, Man would be in a great position because it'd be wearing down itself and probably would die at this point. But we're going to be able to hit with the Body Press, break through Para Flinch. And at this point, I see no reason just not to click it again. It does put the Rotom in range of the Weavile Ice Shard. So I think this is probably like my best play, is just to click Body Press. And if the Rotom comes in, I then got to make a decision as to what I go into. And at least we're going to have it, like, it took like 40% from this Body Press. As long as I break through Paralysis, of course, which I don't. Of course, on one turn, which is kind of crucial, I don't break through, but it is what it is. It's the game we play. And at this point, I'm really not sure what to go into. I don't have a switch. And I should have gone into Rabombi, because Rabombi doesn't do a whole lot against their team at this point. It does deal with the Terrakion as long as it's not Scarfed. It can do a good chunk to that Comfey, but at the same time, it doesn't 1v1 it. So honestly, I feel like I should have just sacked off my Rabombi and kept my Skarmory around. It was actually a roll to kill here. I had a chance to live it, but unfortunately we don't. So we actually lose our Skarmory, and we kind of lose our defensive check to like half our team. So that's a big misplay on my part. But that Rotom is just putting so much offensive pressure on my team, especially now it's not in range of Ice Shard. I can't come in and just revenge kill it. And that's super unfortunate. Like, I think all I need to do now is get rid of the Comfey, and like my Weavile is still in a good position. It's still able to take like a few rounds of Life Orb after the rocks, but I've only got one chance really to be able to do it, which means that the Comfey has to go down before I try and set up. And the Comfey comes in, and I realize at this point I really do not have a whole lot to deal with this. I think Rabombi is my best hope at just getting a big chunk of damage off. Like, I could have gone into my Keldeo, but that gives her a free Draining Kiss, whilst Rabombi doesn't as much. Most likely going to Calm Mind on me, and I could just lose to Comfey here. Like, it's definitely a possibility that I just lose to Comfey because I just sacked off my Skarmory, which was really not a good play at all. But it is what it is. I'm just going to click the Moonblast, and depending on her set here, I actually can still Oko. I can kill from here with a Specs Moonblast, and as you're going to see, though, we get paralyzed on the turn that Rotom comes in. We actually get a crit, and that crit does matter. After the game, I spoke to Liv, and her set absolutely 100% lived that Moonblast, and I think Comfey may have just won the game from there had it been the case. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. Like, I would have to put that Comfey in like super low range to be able to make sure that I am able to kill it with an Ice Shard from our Weavile, because we would outspeed it at least and out prioritize the Draining Kiss. But very unfortunate. And at this point, I have 0 checks to a Rotom fan that is no longer in range. So realistically, I'm just like, my play is to kind of just stay in and hope that she goes for a Volt Switch, but there's no reason to think that she's going to go for anything other than the Air Slash. I think at this point, I'm just thinking that, you know, I need to keep this around for the Terrakion. At this point, it does 2-hit KO a Melmetal on the switch in, so I got that. And what else is on that team? It can Oko the Celebi as well. So I'm thinking that Vileplume is probably my least valuable member, which is probably true actually at this point. I think Vileplume does the least for my team. It doesn't check the Rotom at all. It doesn't deal with the Melmetal particularly well. Well, it does deal with the Melmetal, but that specific set, not as much. And Terrakion, it's not living a Terrakion hit really from where it's at. So sacking the Vileplume actually is probably the right play here. And it gives me the situation that if I had my damage off earlier, then the Ice Shard would have killed this Rotom from the range it's at. But instead, I'm going to go out into my Keldeo. I know I can live an Air Slash from it. I can live a Volt Switch, but at this point, I know it's Scarfed because it outsped something. Actually, I don't know it's Scarfed, but the way that she's playing it just screams Scarf. Like the way she brought it in on Rabombi there. Like if it wasn't Scarfed, then obviously I misplayed. But here I'm deciding whether or not to go Weavile or whether to go Keldeo. I think Weavile is still my end game, so I decided to go into my Keldeo, and I think that like if I'm not the set I am, I die to this Air Slash, and maybe she'll just go for an Air Slash, predicting me to die basically. I guess is what I should say. If I am Scarfed, then she lives and is able to knock me out of Air Slash. So I'm just going to click Scold here. Like the threat is in front of me. This is the biggest threat on her team. If I can bring this thing down low enough, then I can still win this game with Weavile. So that's my thought process. As long as I don't get flinched by the Air Slash as well, then I'm in a good position. So I take a full timer almost to make this decision. I didn't realize how low the timer was getting. I'm almost losing the timer again. So as we see, she stays in, goes for the Air Slash with the bulk that I've got. I actually lived that on 13 HP, and I'm able to get a Scold off, which is amazing because it puts it in Ice Shard range. It does a massive chunk as well. That does so much damage. As the Joy-Cons decide I want to run again because I'm scared. And I don't take the Stealth Rock, or I might take Stealth Rock damage, but I'm living on 1 HP, and I don't think that's necessarily worth keeping around. In hindsight, probably was worth keeping around. But I'm also not faster than the Terrakion at this point, so had I made a switch and gone out into Rabombi there, I would have been in an amazing position. I could have just gone for the Bug Buzz on this, and then Sony's got to take Bug Buzz damage after that. Probably the Melmetal, and then I can come back in on Keldeo, and yeah, I think I'm in a better position if I switched out. At this point, I'm happy for this to just kill me. I could have switched out again. At this point, I could have switched into my Rabombi, but a Psychic would have killed me. So I decided just to sack off my Keldeo. Realistically, I think it's still my best play because, like I said, I don't outspeed the Terrakion. I know I don't outspeed Terrakion unless it's also running a weird set. And at this point, I've just got to bring in my Keldeo and bring in my Weavile and effectively sweep up. So the only things that stop me being able to sweep is a Choppleberry Terrakion or a Choppleberry on the sorry, not even Choppleberry on Melmetal, because we've seen its protective pads. Literally the only thing that's going to stop my sweep here is a Choppleberry Terrakion. So at this point I have just enough HP to be able to do 4 hits from my Life Orb. So I've got to make all the right plays. I go for a knockoff here. It seemed like my best all-round play. And yeah, there's no real good switching. Like, I think if Liv had been aware of how much health I was and that I didn't have enough hits to be able to take out her entire team potentially, if she had switched out and made a read, then that's the position I'm in. And here, if the Terrakion comes in, it's either Scarfed and I lose, or it's Choppleberry, or it's like just an offensive one. It could be Sashed, it could be whatever. Looking at the calc, Triple Axel had a 81% chance with all 3 hits to be able to hit, to be able to OHKO a uninvested Terrakion. Low kick guaranteed killed. So here I was looking at that calc whilst the Celebi was out. So I'm just going for the low kick, hoping that it's not Shuffle, but it is. So my play was to go for a Triple Axel to risk all 3 hits. Like, as you see, that would have 100% killed the Terrakion from here. So my only way of winning this game at this point is just hacks, basically. I would need to get a critical hit on the Melmetal to knock out with Rabombi, and I would need the Air Slash from the Rotom to miss for me to have any chance of winning this game. Had I clicked Triple Axel and got all 3 hits and picked up the 81% chance to KO, then I would have won this game. Like straight up, that was game. So 100% that was my play, but at the time, I was like, I don't want to risk the triple axle only hitting twice, because if it hits twice and it wasn't Chopple, then I'd be kicking myself, but I'm still kicking myself because it was Chopple and I clicked the low kick. So we are going to take out the Terrakion, we're going to save some differential and potentially still have a chance to win this game on some insane hacks that potentially could happen. But honestly, it's not going to happen. I'm going to be honest to you, it doesn't happen. The Melmetal comes, like, either of them could come out now, and I guess like the better chance of not being crit by Moonblast is better chance than missing with Air Slash. So the Melmetal comes out. We're going to collect Moonblast because we have nothing else to do. And unfortunately, we are going to lose this game 2-0 to Liv. She played it really well, did what she had to do. I feel like if I kept my Skarmory around, this endgame is actually much better for me. But at the same time, like, Rotom just put so much pressure on my team. I definitely didn't play particularly well with my Luxray or with my Skarmory. I feel like in this game I didn't play great with them. Very unfortunate that I was put in a position that I was with the body press not hitting, but at the same time we got the crit on the Comfey, so it kind of evens itself out. And unfortunately we're going to fall to 3 and 4 minus 9. We still got a chance of playoffs. Like, as crazy as it is, we still got a chance, but the chance is getting smaller and smaller. I think at this point I'm just happy to play well and have some good games with this team. Realistically, this team it's all right. It's nothing like, I think it's going to be a tough ask to try and make playoffs with the lack of an electric check we have, the lack of removal we have, the lack of a good fire resist we have. Like, there's so many things on our team that are bad. Like, it's just badly built. That this team, if we make playoffs, is some kind of miracle. But yeah, we go to 3 and 4. We face off against mid. Always fun to play against mid. Looking forward to it. We faced mid in week 8, and then we got 3 of the top 4 teams or something like that after that. And then we got Steve as well, who is down near the bottom. Sorry, Steve. But there's a chance we can win this, but I think we have to... there's a chance we can make playoffs even. But it's going to be a really tough ask, I think, for this team to be able to get to there. But we're going to give it our best shot. If you did enjoy the battle, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to catch the rest of the season. But until the next one, have a great day, guys.